Rory Challen's outside the British Foreign Ministry there. Thank you. Meanwhile, the German Chancellor Angela Merkel says she favors sanctions against Libya if the government there doesn't stop violence against its own people. Earlier, Germany's Foreign Minister Guido Westerwelle described the situation in Libya as dramatic and dangerous. Germany is sending 2 military planes to evacuate citizens and says any opportunity that Germans have to leave by themselves should be taken. In France, Colonel Gaddafi's former head of protocol has insisted that the Libyan leader will not step down despite the uprising. Nouri al-Mizmari also warned a bloody fight is likely if the unrest continues. This comes as France is sending 3 passenger planes to Tripoli to repatriate its citizens. And Russia's president has been giving his view not just on Libya, but on all the rebellions breaking out right across the Arab world. He was attending a security conference in the southern city of Vladikavkaz, where Russian forces are fighting against armed Islamist groups. He told reporters that he feared for the future, and he also vowed to crush any rebellions in his own country.
Look at the situation in the Middle East and the Arab world. It is extremely complicated. Great hardships are ahead. In several cases, one can talk about the disintegration of large, densely populated states, about their breakup into small fragments. These states are not simple. It is quite possible that complicated events will take place, including the arrival of fanatics to power. This will mean fires for decades ahead and the further spread of extremism.
The Russian president there. Well, let's get some reaction from the United States now. Nick Clark is in our Washington, D.C. broadcast center. Nick, what's the latest?
Yeah, Barbara, well, the president's not in town right now. He's out and about pushing the economy. But on board Air Force One with the U.S. president to Ohio, the White House press secretary said the United States condemns the, quotes, appalling violence against protesters. However, during the U.S. president's first public appearance since the unrest began, Barack Obama made no mention of Libya. We are expecting the U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton to make a statement in the next hour or so. We'll bring you more on that as and when it happens. Meanwhile, senior Democrat John Kerry, head of the Foreign Relations Committee in the U.S. Senate, he's been used by the White House to communicate policy positions, including during the protests in Egypt. And on Tuesday, he issued a statement of his own saying this: the Gaddafi government's use of deadly force against its own people should mean the end of the regime itself. It's beyond despicable, and I hope we're witnessing its last hours in power. Kerry goes on to say the Libyans should have the opportunity to choose leaders who respect their basic rights. The question now is what can be done to send that message clearly and effectively. While it's true that America has less influence in Tripoli than elsewhere in the region, we're not without options, particularly in partnership with the broader international community. World leaders, he said, must together put Colonel Gaddafi on notice that his cowardly actions will have consequences. Well, it's all happening. We can go straight to the State Department now. PJ Crowley is issuing a statement. Let's hear what he's got to say on Libya.
Those that have regular commercial service and have been allowed to land in Tripoli to perhaps, send larger aircraft so that there are more seats available for those who wish to depart. We have charter flights standing by, to travel to the airport if necessary. This is something that we continue to work with Libyan authorities. But the fact is, today we were not able to move any of our personnel out of the country.
Can you explain? First of all, hold a second. I understand why that is the case, and then is it not true that some of them did go to the airport and for some reason did not leave the country?
Karen,
why they didn't leave already, and is it not true that some went to the airport and then did not board flights?
I think I just said, for our official party, we were not able to move any of them out of the country today, and we will do our best working with Libyan authorities to move them out as quickly as we can.
Are you considering any sort of sea routes as opposed to, or overland routes as opposed to the airport?
We are evaluating, as are other countries. We're not in this. Other countries have made similar decisions to ours. They are looking for the safest, course of evacuation. The land is an option, sea is an option. The commercial airport is open. Obviously, there are a great many people who are trying to depart Tripoli, currently. But we're working this with Libyan authorities.
Do you consider the airport to be a safe place for people to be right now?
Obviously, we've made this decision because we are concerned about the safety of our citizens, but we're working as hard as we can to help our citizens depart.
PJ, number one, recognizing that it's not a completely accurate figure, how many Americans are there registered with the embassy in Libya?
Matt, it's a good question. There are, several thousand American citizens in Libya. Most of them are dual nationals. Of those who have American citizenship, we're talking in the maybe the 600 range, give or take. Now, some of them work for energy companies, and as you've seen and reported, they themselves are shutting down their operations and making their way out of the country today. So as to how many require assistance from the embassy, hard to know at this point. Our embassy itself, as you can see in the numbers, it's a relatively small post.
And more broadly, what did you make of Gaddafi's speech?
I actually haven't received a debrief on his speech.
Well, surely you saw some of it.
I did see some of it.
Enough. What did you think of him vowing to stay and to die a martyr and never to give up?
Again, this is ultimately and fundamentally an issue between the Libyan government, its leader, and the Libyan people. They, like others, are standing up and demanding a greater say in the events of their country. As the Secretary indicated, yesterday in her statement, we have grave concerns about the Libyan response to these protesters. We continue to be guided by our fundamental principles. We don't want to see any further violence, and she called directly on the Libyan government to cease the violence. Its response has led to significant bloodshed in Libya. We want to see universal rights respected, and we want to see the government respond to the aspirations of its people.
This is essentially, a bloodbath that's going on there. And it seems, when you were talking about this, that it's a very calm approach. I mean, many people are saying that something has to be done right now to help the people who are being attacked by airplanes, air attack. So what is the United States doing? Well, is there a sense of urgency?
Of course there's a sense of urgency. Our first focus is on the security of American citizens in Libya. Our response has been, joined by many others in the national community. There was a Security Council meeting